Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Penguin Random House Australia interview with Tom Taylor and John Sommariva. We're going to be talking about the upcoming book Neverlanders. I'm an account manager at Penguin Random House Australia. My name is Jeremy Vine, and I'm very pleased to be here with these two great creators. Tom, hello. John, hello. Thank you for being here today. I'm absolutely thrilled to talk with you. And I just wanted to talk very quickly about this book that is coming up. Maybe in your words, could you tell our wonderful viewers and listeners how would you describe Neverlanders? John, maybe we start with you. You can go back and forward. I don't mind.
Well, Tom's usually the good one when it comes to the words. I'd say like he's.
I know I threw you in the deep end.
You want me with the art side?
Go off of me. There you go.
Yeah.
So Neverlanders is essentially about a group of homeless kids who are taken from our world by the last lost boy to go and fight for the heart of Neverland against evil, sort of greedy adults who are wanting to take it and take the future from the next generation.
Fantastic. Anything to add, John?
Yeah. Oh, look, for me, it was just an excuse to draw a lot of really cool stuff. We basically got we're kind of having our cake and eating it too, in that we're getting to work on sort of a superhero comic that's wrapped up inside of a fantasy story, and I get to draw fantasy stuff, goblins, mermaids, fairies, all this kind of stuff. And, we got to do our own thing. We created it. It's our own characters, that sort of thing. So it's just, I don't know, super cool project to work on.
It really is. Like each one of the characters is just so iconic. You can just see. Well, that's something I want to ask you. Where did you kind of draw your influences from for each of the new Lost Boys to make them distinct? Did you have anything in mind when you were creating them and when you were talking the backwards and forwards about them?
Well, I think one of the first things that we definitely, that was important to me was to put some of my culture and background into the characters a little bit, so we've got a couple of Spanish background type characters with Paco and Luz. Then from that, we wanted to have a good mix of male and female, different sort of characters, so it wasn't just the Lost Boys, which is typically what you would have seen in Neverland. So that's kind of our take on it, just to make it a bit more modern, and make it make sense to the society that we live in today,
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it was just a matter of just making them look really cool. So finding animals and characteristics that would match the personalities of those characters, and just through telling the actual story, I think Tom was able to really give the characters the personality, and then that informed the way that I would draw them and the acting and the gestures that I would give them. And it's almost like they came to life on their own in some weird way,
Yeah, they just became their own characters, which is a really fascinating thing. It's like, where did you get these ideas for the characters from? Are they people in your lives or existing Lost Boy interpretations? Like, I'm wondering just what influences of the Neverland stories that have been so many of, like, did you think about what had come before? This is for both of you when you were writing it.
I don't think it was so much what had come before. It was what had come before, but also how could we change that? What had come before is very much of its age. It was written period, and it was very much of that period. And we wanted to find a way to modernize that and to have it take place now. So I think that was a huge part of the characters. And as John said, I mean, this book was originally titled Lost Ones, so it wasn't Lost Boys. And then we worked out Neverland was a much better title. But that is...
Was it always... Sorry to interrupt. Was it always Neverland then? Was it always the Peter Pan story?
Yeah, from day one, it was that. I was in Fiji, literally on a tropical island in a hut, and I wasn't allowed to write. I was supposed to not take my laptop. I was away with my wife, and this was a non-writing time. And in the middle of the night, I couldn't sleep. I had this idea, probably because I was, someone told me I couldn't write, and I was stuck on a tropical island. And I started writing Neverlanders, and I filled several hotel notebooks. And in the middle of the night, I had this idea, and I've been wanting to work with John for years. And I wrote to John that night. I went, how does this sound? And told him all the twists and all the turns of this story and how it exists, and John was back to me before I'd woken up in the morning. Yes, 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 this is amazing, and he was on board.
Yeah, I can definitely recall those messages coming through, because it was almost like, I don't know, Tom must have been inspired with the timing or something, because I was literally sitting there going, I really want to do something creator owned. I'm kind of, I want something that we own ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that's just really important to me as a comic creator. It's awesome working on the license stuff and all that, but to come up with your own original idea and that sort of thing, like, that's something that I had been craving. And Tom sends me a message, and there were just these like one lines that kept on popping up. It's like he's pitching it to me, and it's very dramatic, and building and building. And I'm there going, okay, yeah, interesting. I'm not saying anything. I'm just reading as they're popping up, And then finally he hits me with the punchline. They get into a caravan, they shoot off into the sky, and they're going to go to Neverland. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, straight away, it made sense to me. And I'm going to get to draw all this really cool stuff. So, I mean, it was instant. Yep, let's do this.
Yeah.
And here we are.
It's interesting, Tom, that you mentioned Fiji, because when I was reading the book, certainly Neverland had that tropical island feel to it. And I'm wondering, is that something that you had in the back of your mind, John, when you were designing some of the landscapes? Like, just that, yeah. I know Tom's in Fiji when he was thinking of this, and that same sort of story.
Yeah, 100%. So interestingly enough, when I was 10 years old, my family, we all moved to Western Samoa, and we lived there for 2 years. So I was really able to draw on a lot of the things that, like my childhood, the things that I grew up around when I was living on a tropical island. And those things just really just fit perfectly with, the story that we were telling and that environment, I think with a lot of what we're going to do with Neverland and what we've done so far, it's just sort of tapping into like our own childhoods in a sort of way, and remembering what it was like to have fun and be a kid and not have all the responsibility and crap that comes along with being a grown up, I guess. So I definitely drew on that experience, and I think hopefully it's along the lines of what Tom had in mind as well, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as soon as the images started coming in from John, I got extra excited. I think because we started with character sketches before we really had much of a script, like, we talked about the characters. And so I had them, like, I had a picture of them, like, taped to my wall as I was writing them. So I got to know them through John's art as just as much as I did on the page. Normally you just learn about the characters as you're writing them, but because I had this fantastic visual representation of all of them, it was such a great way to do it. And then, as John sort of alluded to, it became a stealth superhero book, which was always the idea that these Neverlanders, our lost ones, do get superpowers. They get suits that are powered by happy thoughts. And so we get something, we don't just get their look, their street look, we get their Neverland look. So we got to design two things, and we got to overthink a lot of it.
That actually brings me to my next question, because when they do get these superpowers, they're all kind of connected with a different animal in each way. And I was wondering, what animal would you each be connected with, or what would the power the happy thoughts suit give you? I'm sure you must have considered it while you were creating it.
I'd be a quokka, and it would just give me the power of people would just take selfies with me and feed me. Yeah.
That's a good one. Funnily enough, when as a teenager with my friends, we all sort of used to half pay each other out by we each had an animal that we would call each other, and my animal was Fox. They used to call me the Fox because I had red hair and all that sort of stuff, and a bit of a pointy nose. I don't know, and so but yeah, I don't know. That's none of those powers would be too good. Sneaky, I don't know.
Cunning, wise,
likes eating chicken. I don't know.
Yeah. That's great. Was there one in particular that you felt more connected with, one of the characters, when you were creating and drawing them and writing for them, Tom?
I think look, Gracie steals every single scene she's in. It's just instantaneous. She shows up. She's got the cute. She's got the eyes that would make one want to give her their shoes. She is just instantly, like, as soon as there's a Gracie scene, it was my happy place. And as soon as John was drawing her, it was the same. That said, I think we feel for all the characters because we spent years with these characters. Like Justin was a character that, starts off quite grumpy, and watching his journey, and particularly because we're working away on book 2 now, and not where he's going to go there. It's really we've gotten very close to him, and watching the mentorships with him and Rob, like it was really, he's become a really important character that I don't think we really foresaw earlier on. We thought B would own it, but Justin's really, really up there.
And John, have you got one as well?
Yeah, look, it's literally you're asking us to choose who's your favorite kid,
right.
So it's really difficult to do. And I mean, I had fun really drawing all of them and giving them all their moments. Tink is obviously a lot of fun. We get to have fun with our version of Tink just because she's, we wanted to go the complete opposite to other versions that you might have seen in the past. So, she's got the sweary mouth, which I enjoy. And I don't know, I'm always like trying to figure out, is there a way that I can have her like sticking a middle finger up or something, but we gotta keep that calm a little bit, and Gracie, of course, like, she is really so much fun. And I think in terms of just character design, Gracie is just really purely, I don't know, my style, if you know what I mean. She's got that sort of graffiti lizard, exaggerated limbs, and her positions are always kind of like a little bit sort of more animal and exaggerated and that sort of thing. So she's definitely a lot of fun to draw.
Now, not to spoil anything that occurs in the first volume, but what can you give us as a hint for what's coming in the next one?
I have to say, like, everything that's coming in the next one is reliant on what happened in the first one.
Oh, okay.
It's really difficult to give much away. What I will say is there'll be a lot more exploration. So we've seen Neverland, and we've hinted at what's beyond Neverland, and we will start seeing glimpses of a lot more. We're building not just an island, not just 2 islands with Otherland where the adults are, but also an entire universe out there.
That actually intrigues me because we didn't mention Otherland before. I don't think that's really been done in any of the Peter Pan stories that have come, and the Neverland stories. Where was the inspiration for Otherland, where lost adults go?
Where lost adults go, where adults run away from responsibility to go to. Really, Otherland's setting this dynamic up between the kids and the adults was more to have that sort of climate crisis allegory, to have this idea that there were adults who were literally trying to steal the future from the next generation, and this generation who shouldn't be forced to grow up, who should be allowed to have a childhood, who shouldn't have to stress about everything, and they have to fight for this. So I think that was really the genesis of Otherland, and talking to John about it and just getting it dirty and gritty and polluted and really sort of run by a fairly toxic, greedy figure and surrounded by similar characters.
Excellent. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff going on there that everyone can kind of relate to or see, I guess, the world around us in both Neverland, just the wonder in Neverland, but also a little bit of that despair in Otherland.
Yeah, and I think visually, it was just a matter of almost making it the complete opposite of Neverland. So Neverland's full of beautiful, lush nature, all that sort of thing, and Otherland is very man-made, metal, smoke, industrial, obviously I wanted that big symbol of the pirate, the skull and crossbones, being like sort of a major feature, which was kind of like a little homage to, Castle Grayskull or Dr. Wily's castle in the Mega Man games, that sort of thing where you see these like headquarters with the big skull. It's just such an awesome, fun visual. And, this was the perfect excuse if I'm ever going to get one to create a place that looks like that. So, yeah.
It just looked amazing. Just really drawing on, for myself, the Saturday morning cartoons that I grew up with, but a lot of that imagery that is just so evocative. And when you've got those two comparison, it feels almost a Lord of the Rings feel, where you've got the horrible industrial pits of Mordor compared to the lush green nature of the Shire.
Yeah, no, we'll take that.
Definitely intentional, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I want to thank you both again for coming and chatting with us. Neverland is out in bookstores 20th of September, I believe, in Australia.
Yeah.
And so please check it out. And thank you again, Tom and John, for coming and speaking with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.